when they're in the basement and each single thing is its own horror movie, and how it would I'm like, oh, this would start this story, and I would love that story. That would start this story, or it would go this way. And every dumb schlocky thing they could have done, I was like, oh, I love all that. It brings me joy.
You understand what's at stake here.
It's insane, right? Art the clown.
I'm something different.
Hey friends, and welcome back to another Modern Horror Movie Talk. I'm your host, Tyler Nichols, and Lance Valchek back for another one.
Hey,
Lance,
buddy,
we got a good one. Whoa, what the hell? You're like, you are right on the ball.
I said, hello. Hello. You said, hey. I go, hey, how you doing? Hello.
Come on, we have a little back and forth usually. Come on, fucking just interrupted me right away. We're not in sync today.
I said hello. It is a good one. It's a good one. I own it. Done with this movie, right?
Yes. Ooh, that is a slick. What is it? Is that a steelbook?
It is 4K at Little Monsters back. Yeah, it's I don't know where I got it, but when it came out, I was like, ooh.
I think Best Buy had a steelbook, so I did not get the Best Buy steelbook. I just have the standard whatever 4K, but this is a damn good movie to have in 4K because it is quite pretty. So, for those that are unaware, I'll just read the little description. It says, 5 friends go for a break at a remote cabin where they get more than they bargained for, discovering the truth behind the cabin in the woods. Super generic sounding plot, but I mean, I think literally right from the jump. Oh, which by the way, this whole video is spoilers. You can't talk about this movie without talking about spoilers. Someone will get upset just about us mentioning every little detail. You know what I mean? Like even the opening is technically a spoiler. Like everything.
2011. I mean, I don't feel that bad. That's what, 12 years?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like this is pretty much a spoiler video. We're not doing a non-spoiler section for something that is just so
no.
Literally if you don't know anything about this movie, and like if we even talk about the first 2 minutes, it's ruined. So we don't just go and watch this movie if you have not seen it, because it's fantastic. I can't say enough good things about it. When were you able to see this one in theaters?
Yeah. Me and my girlfriend at the time went and saw it, and I had an absolute blast. This is one of the more fun times I had. This is a good theater experience because people cheered and clapped, but they shut up. It was one of those rare times where everybody was in sync. It's funny. I feel like it's good press, but I don't know if it gets mentioned as much. Maybe it was too witty, or it is one of those things where like it is very meta, but it's the meta that I like. But no, man, I would say this is definitely one of the better movies of the last couple of decades for sure. Honestly.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that there's been a slight backlash against it over the last 5 years, and I think that's mostly just because of the Joss Whedon connection, which, I mean, okay, there's going to be problematic people in Hollywood. That kind of thing happens. I try to separate the art from the person, so...
I also think this is one of those things that I think everybody at the time agreed it was cool and a good movie and witty and fun, and there's always this weird delayed backlash off of because it's like, oh, maybe it's Came to the Woods. I don't like it. It's like, it's the kind of people that were like, oh, you ever go like, oh, you like music? It's like, oh yeah, but I don't like the Beatles. It's like, okay, I know that everybody talks about them, but like, don't be that guy. Don't be that guy that just immediately is like, well, everybody else likes it. It's not cool. It's like, oh, for God's sakes, stop it.
Yes.
And this is that. I mean, there's flaws. Sure, we can talk about them, but no, I mean, this is a charming movie. It's a bloody movie. It's gory. It's witty and it's smart. And I don't know much about Joss Whedon. I couldn't give a shit about him. But if this is his style, then his style's good.
Yeah, I mean, and let's be clear. He was just a writer on it, so I don't know. I feel like it's a weird thing where people are like, I can't like it because of Joss Whedon. No,
he's a co-writer.
It's a Drew Goddard movie. Like it's very much still a Drew Goddard movie. So I don't know. This is coming from someone who is a massive Buffy fan. So like, I can separate the two. It's totally fine. Like, yeah, Joss Whedon's an asshole. That is totally separate from his creative accomplishments.
Yeah, you can't let one asshole ruin a story, or there's no good stories.
Yeah. Well, I say it a lot on this show, but I just enjoy how much fun this movie is. It's just fun from start to finish. I'm the type of person that I watch Evil Dead, and some people think it's messed up. I have a blast through the whole time. So this essentially just feels like an even more whimsical, like at least a little more lighthearted Evil Dead.
Evil Dead is at the prime idea of the meta commentary. The cabin in the woods. The fucking cabin looks very similar, and then the inside is 100 times bigger. I mean, they even make I feel they make it look smaller. So when they walk in, the sort of like juxtaposition of like how clearly it's not the same from front inside is, you know, that's this. Yeah, this is saying Evil Dead. Yeah, and there's also like the remake came out in 2013, just a year later, or 2 years later, I should say. So that's it. Just shows, or actually, IMDb says 2011. I thought this is 2012. I gotta be honest. Maybe it could be one of those like at 2011 and like December. It's 2012. It was at Butt Numathon. But it actually premiered in 2012. That's why as soon as I saw the 2011, I was like, that's not right. I know this movie's in 2012. They do the same thing. Army of Darkness is like 92, I believe, or what? I think it's 92, but like it was like at some festival in like December, and then like February came out in 93. So I'm like, it's just like 93. You know? Yeah. It gets very confusing. It's like, where was the wide release? I need the wide release. I don't give a shit. Some guy saw this in Germany and like on a screen in a garage. Like, when did I ever get to see it in theaters? You know. Again, this is a little diatribe, but same thing. I saw Skinamarink last year. At the end of the year, I got to see it early, and I could not include it on my top 10 for that year because guess what? It didn't come out until January. It's like, no, it doesn't matter if you see stuff early. Like, it's not out yet. You would have put that on your top 10? Yeah, I would have. Oh, look at you. Okay. Yeah, I love that movie. Not only do I love that movie, I got to see that movie before it was like a thing. So I love that movie a lot. The whole thing. Yeah, it's so weird. The whole movie. Okay. Yeah, hey. To be fair, I mean, I'm not going to say who. Someone requested to do it on this show, and I turned it down because I did not want to watch it again so recently. So I'm not going to say that it's like a great rewatch, but hey, you love what you love. Yeah, I love a movie that makes me feel just like things. That movie makes me feel a lot of real weird things. But yeah, and then I think another aspect of this movie, Cabin in the Woods, that I really enjoy is the characters. The characters are all so good. Even the dumb blonde, she has so many good moments. There's times where anything that could be stereotypical just kind of just works. There's a reason for pretty much any stereotypical thing that you're seeing. There's a reason for it all, and I love that. And the way they introduce it and they sort of nurture it, I find clever. You know, I mean, it's not, you know, it's not super deep, but the entire thing is just like setting up the scenario that we always love. And it's a cool way to break down, you know, when they're in the basement and each single thing is its own horror movie and how it would like, I'm like, oh, this would start this story and I would love that story. That would start this story or it would go this way. And every dumb schlocky thing they could have done, I was like, oh, I love all that. It brings me joy. That's the way this movie's with the blonde girl, the stoner with his fucking awesome bong that becomes a little cup. I mean, everybody was kind of played heightened, but in a way that I felt was developed in a weird way. Like, because they're specifically one-note characters, but written well enough and acted well enough where they felt three-dimensional. Yeah, I mean, I feel like most of these people felt like people I went to college with, like the friends that I had in college. They very much felt the very similar tone. So that I think helped a lot. There's one element that I'm very shocked. So I went into this not knowing how you were going to be with this, specifically because the humor. I know that like in recent movies, humor is like a big thing for you. So when watching this time, I tried to watch it through the Lance Velchek lens, and all I could think was like, "Ooh, is this not? Is this not? Is this not? Is this not?" I don't dislike humor. Let's get that out of the way, but I do think newer movies, and I think a newer generation of writers, and there's a vibe here where I don't think that sincerity is really a part of the human existence anymore. I think because of the world and a lot of things, people automatically are sarcastic and they shut things up. I've always said this. I appreciate schmaltziness more than others because you're trying to be heartfelt and soulful. And this has very little bit, but this is funny because the perspective is, these guys need to get a job done, and these people need to die. And I like that it's very cold. It's funny, but it's one of those like, I love animals, but a chicken needs to die so I can have a chicken sandwich. I feel bad, but it's like, get that shit. Like it's the people that raise cows. Like, okay, cow, I'll see you soon. I like a good ribeye. The humor in this works because of two people that I love so much that I usually don't want sequels or prequels, but if I could get one, I want Bradley Whitford and Richard Jenkins in a fucking movie doing this. Take all the horror out. I want Aaron Sorkin to write it and them just talking for fucking an hour and a half in a room. That's all that I want.
With Amy Acker coming on and just being like, what are you morons doing? Take this seriously. They
were so good and they were funny, but but this kind of humor that I like where it's more sort of, it's like they're tired, they're working, they're annoyed. I don't know. It's not like something serious happens and then we cut it with a joke. That's the kind of humor I don't like. I call it the Marvel humor, but I don't blame Marvel. It's been developed from the mid 2000s. I almost felt like this didn't have it. I felt like, they did undercut stuff, but even the tension we know is kind of fake anyway. It's like, when the monsters come after the girl, I'm not like, oh my God, if the girl survives, like, well, clearly whatever's going on, I'm just going to let this be and see how it goes. And I thought those two worked well. And of course, the jock, getting the little spray, the mist where he's like, okay, let's get together, stay together. And it's like, we should all spread out. Everybody's like, that's a good idea. And then the stoner's like, wait, what?
Well, no, but all I could think was like, because I know that's from the chemical department where it's like, wait, what chemical makes you behave like that? I need to be on my own.
But I like that idea that there are chemicals that like they're sort of guiding these people, which is funny because I should say this. I don't, maybe I was under the influence, but the first time I saw it, I remember being almost a shocking twist that it's about like sacrificing to the gods. And then this watch, it's like they give it away in the opening credits, and it's very clear. I'm like, how the hell did I not pick up on this?
Yeah, because it's knowing it's a completely different rewatch, like completely different.
But I'm saying that like it's not even hidden. Like the opening scene is like, it shows you all the things they do. And they mention, they don't use the word gods, but like it's not as deeply hidden as I remember it being. And I was like, oh,
people downstairs, is that what they call them?
Yeah, yeah. And the blood comes down and makes a picture. All clever and fun. And yeah, dude, I mean, really, if this movie was less fun, I wouldn't like it. I found it a riot. Does that sound so dorky to say? This was a riot?
No, I'm right there with you. I mean, was it Franz Kranz character? What's his name?
Oh, Marty, the stoner. Yeah,
I love him so much. He's so much fun, and the fact that then they have that little the fake, like the fake out death of his, and then where it's just like, wait a minute, which one? Like, because it's like someone's alive, which one? And that shows him.
It's witty because it's the one you expect to die. He's the last, yeah. Which also, that's the only thing I guess my question to you is: so when they see somebody die, they pull the lever, and that drains the blood that gives the thing. So there is room for error. It's not like the guy dies and it's an automatic system. So like there is that sense of like of human error that could exist. And I think that's actually a very clever thing to put in here.
And it cracks too, doesn't it? When they do it, because the gods are like, no, he's not dead.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, there's something, it like shakes or something, because it's something when the blood goes in for the fool because it's not correct, like where it's like, you guys did it too early.
Oh,
yeah. That's one of the best things about this. It gets better and better on rewatches because you just notice every little detail. They're very smart about setting everything up.
Well, the merman was my favorite part in the theater. It's like one of my favorite parts here, where he keeps mentioning the merman, and it's this fog, and you think somebody's going to save his name Hadley, and. And all the fog, it's the merman. It's like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, or whatever he says. It's like they set it up so early. Another thing, let me just get this out of the way that I noticed this time that I really liked is that Mr. Whitford, which I can't think of his name, but I was thinking from Billy Madison.
Question was not fair. That was not in the reading. I demand a new question.
He's talking to Richard Jenkins and somebody else, and he's like, he has this like actual deep thought. He sort of like breaks his humor, and he's talking about like, what it means and this sort of esoterical meaning of life and what we do. And then these people walk in, and he immediately like realizes he needs to go be the character again. And it's like, margaritas, everybody.
But tequila is my lady.
Tequila is my lady. my lady.
But I like that. But I thought that was such like a human moment. Like they didn't need to put that in at all because he's doing his job. I don't give a shit if he cares. But I love that he actually has a moment of sort of thinking outside the box and realizing what is going on. But then his coworkers come in. He's like, no, I'm the fun, sarcastic guy. I got to go back to the character. And I was like, oh, shit. That's a little, and I looked up, I was like, okay, that's definitely a Drew Goddard thing. That's not Whedon. I'm sorry. Well, you could tell me, but that seems a little more soulful.
Yeah, I think I love that, and there's a lot of stuff like them, because one of the whole reasons that they're able to put these people in these bad situations is that they're chemically manipulating them the whole time.
Yeah,
but then we find out,
kind of cheating, yeah.
But then we find out that the marijuana is negating all the chemicals, so that's why Marty is like he's much more in his and aware of his faculties than he would be otherwise. Yeah, so it's
that's why he knew that breaking up was a bad idea. It was like what
Yeah. The other ones, I mean, because even so Holden, because he is even like, yeah, that makes sense. It's like even that shows because he's the scholar, so he's a smart guy, but it shows like nope, the chemicals have affected him too.
Yeah, they got everybody, and everybody had to play the role. The jock, he started getting more aggressive. It showed it's a good commentary on all the dumb stuff that I love dearly.
Mm-hmm.
The movie like this to me I don't think it's shitting on or insulting anything I love. It's pointing out like the schlockiness of it, but I love schlock, and it's like no, I all this did is make me want to watch a Cabin in the Woods movie or some fucking movie where some guy reads a book or digs up a grave and opens a puzzle box. It's just let's get in situations and die. But I like that it's all from a control room of two middle-aged individuals that are just sort of like no, it's an inventory night. It's gonna be a late one.
Mm-hmm. Another great moment too is when Hemsworth, which by the way, this is technically pre-Thor Hemsworth.
It is because his accent slips like a motherfucker.
Yes, it does quite a bit. But he has this great moment where he's essentially saying like he's gonna bring the army and all this stuff. He's like, listen to it all, and it's like this great triumphant moment, and you're like, yep, he's gonna do it. And when he smacks up against that invisible wall and just tumbles, you can just feel every bit of hope drains from the scene, and it's like, shit, they have to go back to the cabin now.
And as you said, it was cleverly set up with the bird in the beginning. So there's a force field, but by the time you get to it, we forget it exists. And even if you kind of remember, you're not really sure where it is. Mm-hmm. But it's like, oh, it's before the road because you can't get out.
Yeah, because if anything, when that happens to the bird, you're just like, whoa, what happened? And then it's immediately on to something else.
Yeah.
Well, and one thing that I've always really liked to do is since Evil Dead 2013 came out a year after this, I love watching Evil Dead with the thought of it being a Cabin in the Woods program where it's like, well, what if that one jackass had picked up that other than the book? Then it would have been something else entirely.
They're all betting it's zombies. The girl's like, oh, she's like, no. It's not zombies. It's hillbillies. Like they differentiate the kind, Like, no, maybe next year.
Yeah. And two, there's quite a few Buffy and like Angel and Dollhouse alumni in this, which is all like Joss Whedon.
Yeah, I never really grew up on that. I mean, I was aware of it, so I didn't catch any of the.
Well, so one is Ronald the intern. That's played by Tom Lenk. He's the intern guy who's always just like, what's going on? So we're betting. What's like? He has no idea what's happening, and then he's like hiding away at the end. But yeah, I always get such a kick out of him in this movie in particular. I think all of his scenes are always really funny.
I mean, everybody was on point. And then when they go, let's talk about the part where they get in the elevator, and it just shows like every sort of entity. I mean, it's the money shot. You see their version of Pinhead with a little circle box and the blades and the ghost and the little girl. I mean,
we'll show the wide shot here, but you can't. There's so much fidelity that's lost in this shot that when you see it in 4K, I mean, I paused it and was like, holy crap, there's stuff I hadn't even noticed before.
I didn't pause, yeah.
Like there was a battle bot that for some reason I hadn't realized, which then shows up later in the movie.
Yeah, I remember the battle bot.
Yeah. But the Pinhead one is that's my favorite because it's like it's very clearly meant to be Pinhead.
Yeah. It's off-brand Pinhead, but like also cool looking enough where I was like, that's a cool off-brand pin it. I would be down for that version if it existed in the circle box. I was like, that's fun.
Yeah, easily could be another Cenobite, easily.
Yes.
Oh, Sigourney Weaver. I want to talk about Sigourney Weaver being the main person, like the person from upstairs.
Yeah, what is her name though? It's in the movie. It was
the director.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say it's like a title. It's not like a name.
Yes, the director.
Yeah, I mean, once you hear her voice on the intercom, like at the like last half of the movie, I was like, oh, Sigourney Weaver, because I'm good at voices, of course. Yeah. And she gives like the speech, and it's a cool scene, and it's obviously it's all exposition, but that's kind of exposition I like, especially at that moment, because it is the villain trying to convince the one guy to die and to let the girl live.
Which that's one thing I want to talk to you about. So Marty makes a decision that, I mean, I consider myself a pretty selfish person. That's why I don't have kids. But I don't think I would like not sacrifice myself for the world. You know what I mean? He's just like, well, maybe the world's had its time. I'm like,
oh, I see. I completely. I'm on a side where he's just like, fuck it, let it burn. I was like, that's actually my favorite part. At the theater, I was like, I love that they're smoking a joint, and he's just like, let it burn. And then Hank comes out, clearly killing them all, and then the world's over. I was like, that's okay. I would easily let you and everybody you love die. If I was at the end, I was like, oh, it's me or no, fuck them all. Yeah.
See, I think it's always, it's always that the train thing where it's like, would you turn the switch so to save 5 people and kill one? I'm always like, yeah, of course. 5 people are much more important than one person. Like, that's always I always quantify it that way.
That's a good point. I think I would do the one person and I would reverse it to get the 5 so I could get all 6.
Yeah, see, that's the big issue that we have here. Just a cynical murderer.
Well, okay. Train thing aside as a joke, I absolutely would do what he did because I believe that's the way to go. Where it's just like, you know what? No.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Because it's like, wait, so you're saying all these innocent people need to survive to then have this like world that we're living in? Then what's really that world if we have to like, and
killing 5 innocent people every year, Yeah.
Well, and shit, I mean, the Japanese, they were going to be killing a bunch of little kids, like little girls. Like,
I love that where it becomes like a frog and it's like,
I mean, all of the clips of the other sites where it's like you see a like giant monkey. There's so much craziness where it's like,
it's all culture and it all works and they all win. I love it. it.
Yeah, I like it. They do a very good job with making it feel like this could essentially apply to any movie, like even Godzilla.
Yeah. Different
which is great.
Countries and cultures. That's smart. It's very smart. I'm sorry. This is a smart movie. It doesn't mean it's everybody's favorite. You don't have to love it. It's thought out well enough where I can appreciate the little details, like the Japanese girls, like making giving the thing and making it like a peaceful offer. I was like, okay, I like that.
I mean, obviously there's so much with the Japanese horror side that it's just cool to see that, especially because Sitterson and Hadley, it's Jenkins and Whitford, they are saying they're like not worried the whole time because Japan's solid. Japan has a spotless track record where it's just like, yeah, that is how Japan would be viewed in this situation. Because it's like, yeah, think about even like the quality of like a Japanese horror film is almost always like the threshold's a little higher.
Their low budget ones are solid-ish. Yeah, dude. The Japanese and the Koreans got it.
Koreans, yes. I think Korean horror is just phenomenal. If anyone is doesn't watch any foreign horror, you're missing out because
Korean and Japan have been kicking ass since. I mean, 90s? I got into it. I mean, my introduction was like early 2000s, so obviously they've been doing way before. But I mean, back then they were outdoing us when we were doing this generic early 2000s horror, the worst horror in my lifetime, and I lived through it as a teenager. So like, I should have loved it. The Japanese. In all fairness, at that exact same time, the French were kicking ass too. But still, the point is in our darkest times, they were very strong. So.
Yes. Absolutely. And so what do you think your final rating would be for Cabin in the Woods?
Probably a 9.
Yeah. I mean, I'm right there. Are you gonna explain? I'm gonna go into a little more.
Sorry.
I would say a 9. Silence.
Watch the last 20 minutes of it talking. Okay. I think it's a 9 because I think it's a well-written script. I'm giving Drew Goddard a lot of credits, and I think Wheaton added his little touch. Acting-wise, everybody brought their A game. The two old guys, Jenkins and Whitford, stole the show. It referenced wisely and cleverly a lot of stuff that I love and even made fun of it in good ways. And then when it came down to actually putting its money where the mouth is, having the entire murder scene of everybody just getting eaten and blown up and chewed brought me to a level of joy I rarely experience. And it was funny and it did annoy me. And that's very rare because I find a lot of humor kind of annoying. And so only issue I have is I think some of the CGI has aged a little more poorly than I would have liked to admit. But guess what? Life in the big city. So I'll take some CGI that doesn't look as good as it did 13 years ago and go about my day. Hat and briefcase. Easy. It's a 9 across the board. I don't think it'll ever go lower. It is. I've seen it a couple times now. And every time I watch it, I'm like, oh, this is really fun and just a great damn time. Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty much right there with you. 9 out of 10. I think that this is from start to finish one of the most fun horror films out there. It has a pacing that can't be beat. And it also it rewards a horror historian, essentially. If you know horror movies, you will get even more out of this than otherwise. But even if you don't know horror movies, then there's still something in it because it's one of those rare movies that it works as a entry point for someone, but it also works as just, I've seen everything. Okay, here's Cabin in the Woods. And like, you can still get an amazing experience out of it, which I think makes it just such a unique film.
100% agree.
But yeah, I think we've pretty much covered it. But thank you so much for joining me, Lance. This has been an absolute pleasure, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Goodbye.